All right, this is Bruce Walden, candidate for MatSu Borough Mayor 2018. And the first question for Bruce. Let's say I'm a business owner in Wasilla. I've been in business for over 10 years, but revenues have been falling sharply since half of that time 5 years ago. Other business owners I know are in similar dire straits around the MatSu Borough. Obviously, Alaska is in a recession, so Bruce, this is actually two questions. Number one, in your view, what is the source of the problem?
Well, the source of the problem is, as you just mentioned, we are in a recession, but it seems like we're more so out here. And the reason why is because the MatSu has been for too long serving as the bedroom for Anchorage. You can get decent paying jobs in Anchorage. It's very difficult to get one out here. And this has happened, I believe, because we have just simply become business unfriendly out here. And that's got to change. We're going to have to get to the place where businesses are not just unafraid to come out here, but are anxious to come out here and open businesses in the MatSu. We're not there right now. Try to open a business out here and watch the hoops you have to jump through to get the simplest business started out here. You can get a coffee shop out here. You can get a bookstore out here. But when you start talking about real business, real industry, as it is right now, you could pretty much hang it up.
So what would your solution be on the borough level?
Well, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to start thinking differently. We're going to have to change the way we think. We've got to stop thinking as if we are the bedroom for Anchorage. All right. We're a borough. We're the fastest growing borough in the state. And if you look at boroughs and counties in this nation, I think we're 8th or 9th fastest growing in the entire nation. We're the second biggest population area in the state of Alaska. We became a borough in 1964. I think we had 5,000 people here. Well, we have almost 105,000 people here. We've grown by 100,000, but we're still acting as if we got 5,000 people here. We need to become a first-class borough, and we need to have a mayor and an assembly that is pushing to get business here, not pushing to keep business out. And if you go to the borough and you look around and you try to start a business, you get the distinct impression that they really aren't that crazy about having businesses move in here.
All right, Bruce. I live in one of the most beautiful places on earth here in the MatSu Borough, and yet we've had numerous thefts, burglaries, and break-ins in my neighborhood. Get on Facebook, read the MatSu Crime Discussion Group. We've got a big problem here with no real means to address it. How would you address the rising crime issue in the MatSu Borough?
One of the first problems that we have here was when SB 91 came into existence, and as a borough mayor, I don't really have a lot of effect or a lot of pull concerning that. And that is kind of being addressed. But here's the thing. Before SB 91, we had plenty of crime here, lots of it. To say SB 91 made it where you basically don't get punished for committing certain crimes. That's got to be repealed. We put a little bitty Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound and called that a fix, and that didn't work. So now they're going back and reworking it. We need it repealed. That gets you halfway there. The other thing is that we need to have a borough sheriff's department here. You need a sheriff because they do not answer to the borough mayor or the assembly. They answer to the Constitution and to the people of this borough, the voters. And if we put in our own, we'd be the first in the state, and we can make up the bylaws and all that stuff so that if we have a crooked sheriff, we can recall them. But he is elected from among the people. He's one of us, and that way people are more apt to go to that person. If you have a chief of police for the MatSu Borough, that chief of police owes everything to the mayor and 4 people on the assembly. That's not good enough. I've talked to state troopers. The state troopers here in the MatSu, I talked to the, well, I won't go into the names, but I've talked to them, and they say they have about half the people they need. And this one individual who's pretty high ranking, he told me flatly, said, if you run on this, you're going to win because every state trooper is going to support you because we simply can't do the job. We don't have enough people. It's not that they're not trying. They just don't have the resources. Now, when it comes to paying for such a thing, you'll be told, you can't do it without changing the Constitution. That's a lie. There's nothing about law enforcement in the Constitution. There's nothing about police, state troopers, sheriffs. It doesn't appear. You would have to change statute, but we do that all the time. Every time you see the legislature or the borough assembly meeting, they're always changing statute and code. It happens all the time. It's a matter of how bad we want this. I have 7 people that I know personally. 2 of them, this happened to them outside the state, but I knew them here, who were brutally murdered, shot down dead, and one of them right in front of this person's grandmother's house, shot dead in the kneeling position, execution style. Something's got to change, and it's got to change quick.
Bruce, let's say I'm a worker in the retail sector of the MatSu. I'm 20s or 30-something, married with a wife and 2 children. I could decide to work for much better money working many miles away in places like Prudhoe Bay or Dutch Harbor. But my family needs me here, to be honest. I was born here in the MatSu, Bruce, so why should I have to live days and months away from home when we can have resources here for me to better care for my family while I work and come home every night? Is $10 per hour all we're worth, or is there a way we can create much better paying blue-collar jobs here in the MatSu?
There are several ways. Like I said, we're going to have to get to the place where we're business friendly here. And I believe that will start when we start putting the right people in office and we become a first-class borough. But again, that's just the first step. That's a one step on a 1,000-mile journey. But we can make that journey quickly. What we're going to have to do is make this borough business friendly, then begin to encourage businesses to come in here. There was a time they talked about building the biggest mall in the state here. In fact, I've seen a whole lot of really good ideas brought up and then nothing ever happens. And the reason they don't happen is because businesses come in here and they look at things and they say, we can't make money here. Nobody has money. The business climate is unfriendly towards what we want to do. We're not going to do anything. I remember here a few years ago, we tried to bring in a Japanese firm to develop Government Peak as a ski resort. I love to ski and I would love to go there and ski. The businessmen came in, they looked at it and said, we're not going to make any money here. So then the borough assembly and the mayor, this is several years ago, it wasn't the folks that are there then. I don't think any of them that are there now were there then. But they said, well, we'll run this. And I thought, well, if you run that with the efficiency that you run everything else, it ain't going to work either. But we're going to have to come to the place where we are encouraging businesses not only to come here, but for our people to develop business. Everybody I know and everybody you know, and all of you people out there, everybody you know has a good idea for a business. And it can be drawn out of them if they are encouraged. And if we can hook them up with the right people to help them to develop those ideas. There are angel investors here, and there are angel investors all over the country that would love to come and invest here. But it don't happen because they know that they'll lose their investment because this place is so business unfriendly. We have to change that. Every year we graduate 1,800 people from the 12th grade, and they all a lot of them, not all of them, will wind up leaving. And they leave because there are no jobs for them here. They can't afford housing, so they either live in mom and dad's basement, or they fall into the routine of renting for the next 20 years while they try to build up some credit so that they can start to afford a new home. I've got some ideas about that I can't do personally as mayor, but I can encourage the people that can do them to do them, and I can lead them in doing that. Nobody's doing these things, but the ideas that I have would take that 18-year-old that graduates from high school and has a job at the coffee shop down here, 40 hours a week, making minimum wage to move him or her into their own house on a piece of property that they can later develop into the home that they'll live in the rest of their life. And their sons and daughters are born and raised in that same home, and they never know another home if that person so chooses. We can do all these things, but what we've got to get out of the habit of is saying we can't. We've been told can't, we've been told no so long that we've just come to accept it. We've come to accept that, well, it's good enough for Alaska. Well, it ain't good enough for Alaska, and it's not good enough for Matsuans. We've got to do better, and we can.